Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Hey, so I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
Dr. Van France, we said earlier that a man with the mother complex fantasizes on an ideal woman who will fulfill his fantasies, gratify all his infantile desires. He wants a girl just like the girl that married dear old dad. How does that mother complex affect his personal relationships with a woman?
When a man has a mother complex, he's generally a split animal. Namely, on one side, his feminine side is he worships the feminine image too much. It's a kind of Virgin Mary or feminine Holy Ghost figure, the pure, wonderful woman, so to speak. And the other is the prostitute, with whom he has sex, but whom he thoroughly despises. This kind of split in the animal between the Virgin Mary and the prostitute is typical for the mother complex. And such men then, if they have to approach a woman, they don't know how to do it, because the one they admire too much, she's too pure, you can't stretch out your hand and touch her. And the other is easily conquered, but no partner really, just something to have sex with. And such men have also in their own way trouble to relate to women, because of that split animal situation.
Is promiscuity in a male connected with this split?
I think the promiscuity has to do with something else. It's simply that the conventional Christian barriers have been pulled down, and the young generation now is experimenting with sex all over the place. And you meet among those men and young women who are promiscuous all sorts of constellations, mother complex, father complex, all sorts of, it's a more general factor, this experimenting nowadays, because the Christian barriers against sex have been pulled down. But then in the individual case, such a man would, for instance, date a girl who has a huge father complex and is therefore unapproachable, or a Rapunzel who is unapproachable in a tower, and always hesitate to go closer to her.
Oh, Lord, the voice of reason has returned to KBLA. You already know. We got a slapper of a topic today. Really quickly, I'm having this discussion in the cigar lounge, which is commonplace for me. And, you know, listen, this weekend was heavy. Like, I was in the 3-hour coaching session before the Mike Tyson Jake Paul event happens. And so I call myself going to the lounge to kick it, to smoke some cigars or whatever. I call myself chilling. You know, a good friend of mine walks in like, yo, you got to help these young ladies. You got to talk to them. And then that talk turns into 3 hours. And from that talk, right, some other talks happened after that one concluded, and the idea popped into my head, man. This is heavy stuff, because the young lady that I was talking to that was traumatized by her father. She had a father wound. So it brought me to this topic, man, and it's a heavy topic. I have to take a breath because it's that heavy. Tonight's topic, he's in his feminine. I've been hearing that a lot. You know, women will throw that at you quick than a mug. Who hurt you? Who hurt you, babe? He's in his feminine. How a man's mistreatment of his inner woman can potentially lead to his utter mistreatment of his real world woman. Oh my God. And what's even colder is, I was doing some research on the topic. You know, I love philosophy as well. And Neville Goddard. I don't know if you guys are hip to Neville Goddard. We're going to play some of his work tonight. He had a very interesting take. We're going to play the clip. I don't want to give the clip away. But embracing the feminine, how ignoring our inner woman can sabotage our intimate relationships. We're going to explore the psychological implications of a man's relationship with his inner feminine principle and how this affects his treatment of real-life partners. The inner dynamics of masculinity. How neglecting the feminine self leads to relationship dysfunction. A deep dive into the psychological impact of a man's inner feminine and its critical role in fostering healthy relationships with real-world women. Goodness. This is going to be heavy. Neville Goddard's book that I want you guys to get is called, and when I tell you this is an amazing book, it's called Feeling is the Key. I want you to look it up. It's called Feeling is the Key. Now, you already know, when it comes to feelings and emotions, most men have gone through society's emotional, repressing machine. Like, you can't feel. And I think it's important that we understand the power of feeling. And this is going to be heavy tonight. I don't know if you guys are ready. To what extent is it true that modern men, in suppressing their inner feminine, the archetypal qualities of empathy, receptivity, and emotional vulnerability have been disconnected from the ability to authentically love and nurture women in meaningful and balanced ways? That's a mouthful. And I know a lot of men don't want to hear me say that. We think we can work our way into meaning with our woman, right? If I work and provide and protect, she'll treat me like the most loyal dog, right? You never hear men say, what about my needs? Well, you're starting to hear it now. Let me just be honest. What about my needs? I got needs. I got to read that question one more time. To what extent is it true that modern men, in suppressing their inner feminine, the archetypal qualities of empathy, receptivity, and emotional vulnerability, have disconnected from the ability to authentically love and nurture women in meaningful and balanced ways? Ugh. That's just ugly. Agree or disagree? If a man is at odds with his internal feminine, he will be at odds with women in his external world / experiences. Men, call in and tell the truth. Last Thursday, we talked about our reluctance to feel. That's why I followed up today. We talked about our reluctance to feel, right? You don't have an inner feminine, bruh? Brothers want to be hella metaphysical. See, the masculine principle and then the feminine principle, that's where the balance. She's not all feminine, just like you're not all masculine, brother. Oh, now you don't want to claim the metaphysical stuff when the metaphysical points out that you have a feminine aspect as well. You think you can ignore the feminine aspect in you and have a great relationship with a woman? She's going to feel that you're disconnected to the parts of you that reminds her of herself. Don't make me do that. That energy. True or false? This is going to be interesting. 1-800-920-15. I want to know from the men. True or false? A change in the quality of your feelings is a change in the quality of your destiny. I know you're not ready to hear that kind of stuff tonight, brother. True or false? A change of feeling / emotion is equivalent to a change of pattern for both thought and action / behavior. True or false? Sleep is the open door to the unconscious. True or false? The conscious mind represents the masculine principle, whereas the subconscious mind represents the feminine principle. I know you guys are not ready for tonight's topic. You guys want to be deep. You guys want to have real deep conversations about relationships, and you think you can control the way people behave, the way they look, the way they act. They got to be of a certain class, a certain educational background. But when we start getting into the real nuts and bolts that make you tick beyond your accomplishments within society, beyond your societal accomplishments, and I say, how does your spirit operate in this relationship? What does this relationship, or what aspect of your spirit is awakened because of this relationship? And awakened could also be flipped into triggered. What about this relationship triggers you? Triggers are just indicators that you need to work on something. Agree or disagree? Consciousness is the call as well as the substance of the entire world. This is taken straight from Neville Goddard's work. Feeling, right, is the secret. But the reason why I put that, consciousness is the call as well as the substance of the entire universe, is because quantum mechanics is already at the consciousness question. Is it consciousness or is it information? Is information separate from consciousness? We already know energy can never be destroyed. That's the first law of thermodynamics. It can only change form. But we also know, because of the work of Stephen Hawking, his work on black holes, that guess what? Stephen Hawking argued against this, but it was Leonard Susskind out of Stanford who said Stephen Hawking was ultimately wrong, because Stephen believed a black hole can destroy information. Susskind and others said, no, that's impossible. Nothing can be destroyed. It can only change form. That's the first law of thermodynamics. Right? So listen to how Neville Goddard labeled consciousness. Consciousness is the call as well as the substance of the entire universe. Quantum mechanics is already there. Consciousness. Right? What makes up consciousness? You have subconscious. If we're speaking psychologically, you have subconscious. And then you have the conscious mind. Neville Goddard labeled the conscious mind as masculine and the subconscious as feminine. Oh, man. True or false? According to Neville Goddard's work in his famous book, Feeling is the Secret, man's true queen / woman is his subconscious mind. Are y'all ready to deal with what the subconscious, according to Carl Jung, was your shadow? Is your woman your shadow work? Oh, I know y'all not ready for this word, man. Listen, when I come forward, we're going to talk about how you treat your inner woman, brother. And is it a mirror reflection of how you treat your real world woman? This going to get deep.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Badass Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Around here, we don't believe in victimhood. We believe in raising our voices, amplifying black voices in the climate conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Moments like making my kids my famous meatballs mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Using a psychoanalytical model of the mind is split into the conscious thought, which are things that you're aware of, and unconscious thoughts, which are things that you're not aware of. I think people use subconscious because unconscious sounds like you're asleep. That unconscious is an adjective that describes being mentally unresponsive. In this case, unconscious is a noun that describes a part of the mind. Psychoanalytic and psychodynamic psychotherapy seek to make the unconscious behaviors and motivations that you have conscious so that you can change your thoughts and behaviors. The way we do that using a psychodynamic approach is to ask questions about decisions that you made, reactions that you have, that tell a story, that reveal why you do what you do.
Tracy ain't no joke. She be cooking, psychiatrist. But isn't it interesting that our brain is separated into two, sides? You have the right side and the left side, right? The left side of the brain was considered masculine, the logical, linear side. And before, the right side of the brain was considered useless. Literally. People who studied phrenology, who had all of these different areas of the brain mapped out and all of this, they've now, in modern times considered phrenology as a pseudoscience. But the right side of the brain was the masculine side, the left side of the brain was the masculine side, the linear, right? And then the right side of the brain was the feminine side. And one was led to believe, okay, if you're a man, you're led by the left side. But what people don't realize is when you're looking at the brain and how it works, these sides are working together all the time, right? Separated by the corpus callosum. These sides of the brain that are working together. Now, they would say the right side of the brain is the more, free, creative and all of this. The left side of the brain is logical and linear. But guess what? The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. The right side of the brain, the feminine side of the brain, according to the old school, controls the left side of the body. Do you see how all of this works out? In the first clip that we played, the woman speaking talked about anima. So Carl Jung broke down the animus and the anima, right? The animus is the masculine and the anima is the feminine. Isn't that interesting? We can go all the way back to West Africa, Ifa. You got the light and the dark. You got the male and the female, right? Listen, this information has been with us black folk for a long time. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Men want to have wonderful relationships with women, but when I point out the quality of the relationship with yourself determines the quality of the relationship with others, I had to learn for myself. Right, you can even go to the yin-yang principle in the Far East, or even feng shui. Feng shui means water and air. Why? Because air and water move the same way. They have currents. They have waves. They have currents. It's the same principle, ladies and gentlemen. A man doesn't want to have a relationship with his inner feminine. You know why? Because he thinks it's not masculine. It's not manly, right? But if he can't cultivate kindness, nurturing, compassion, empathy, consideration. This is why I say when you get to America and you get the gender roles that are designed here, and I'm not saying these gender roles are specific to America, but when you get here and your gender roles has no spiritual definition whatsoever, it just has a societal contract in place. Provide and protect, man. Ooh. How can you connect with your daughter who needs your empathy? Oh, this is heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. Carl Jung, a pioneering figure in analytical psychology, introduced the notion of anima and animus, which represents the feminine and masculine aspects of the psyche, respectively. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean any of this still applies today, but this is where Carl Jung took it. According to Jung, every man possesses an inner feminine aspect, the anima, while every woman harbors an inner masculine aspect, the animus. The process of individuation. Now, individuation is when you bring these two together. The process of individuation, Jung's term of for personal development, involves integrating these separate elements to achieve a harmonious self. Right? Our clinicians who are listening tonight, they know what individuation means. Jung meant you have to bring your shadow self and integrate it into your public persona, the mask you wear. But many men have just become the mask. This is why we suffer in silence a lot of the time. We don't express, we don't speak, we don't. Do you understand? I done had so many women come to me and say, how can you get him to talk? He won't say nothing. And when he does say something, it's about business or bills or when I come forward, brother, are you mistreating your inner woman, your anima? When we come forward, we got a lot to talk about.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know from BIN News. President-elect Trump says a free press is key to making America great again. In a Fox News interview, he expressed an obligation to work with the media after meeting MSNBC's Morning Joe host for the first time in 7 years. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine condemned a neo-Nazi march in Columbus where masked members carried Nazi flags and spread hate speech against people of color and Jews. He stated, quote, "We will not tolerate hate in Ohio," end quote. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats must address why their message missed working-class voters, citing economic hardships and Vice President Harris's loss to President-elect Trump. And former Michigan State University President Clifton Wharton Jr. has died at the age of 98. Wharton was the first black president of a major U.S. public research university when he became MSU president in 1970, a position he held until 1978. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
September 15th to 21st is Asthma Peak Week with the highest concentration of asthma flare-ups and hospitalizations. To become a more active participant in your care, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader. Follow 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 the leader.
Whether you're going over the river and through the woods in the capable Silverado 1500, getting the choir to church on time in the 3-row Traverse,
Thank you.
or driving cross town to deliver your famous Cajun-spiced holiday turkey in the Equinox EV, America's most affordable EV with a 315-plus mile range. Add confidence to every holiday adventure and get it done with a rugged and capable Chevy truck or SUV. Find your red tag. Get 0% APR financing for 36 months on select popular Chevy models when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Offer available on all 2025 Equinox and 2024 Silverado, Equinox EV, Blazer EV, and Silverado EV models. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 22.2%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24.
Thank you.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Here's another great reason to use the United States Postal Service this season. When sending a package, why venture outside? Ship with USPS for a true holiday ride. Want to stay cozy and warm? There's no need to roam. With free package pickup and labels printed from home. We have over 600,000 employees always in motion. And before you know it, your gift has delivered emotion. Spread the holiday joy this season with USPS's enhanced network. Learn more at USPS.com/holidayride.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It must not be inferred that the relation is that of a servant to a master as was anciently conceived. The ancient prophets called it the slave and servant of man. St. Paul personified it as a woman and said, "The woman should be subject to man in everything." The subconscious does serve man and faithfully gives form to his feelings.
No.
However, the
Pause
subconscious
this.
has a...
Bring it back to the top, because this is the crux of tonight's show. So many of us are so religified that we misinterpreted what the scriptures were saying. The woman should follow the man. People don't understand. This is an ancient concept. The woman, the feminine principle that Carl Jung later renamed the anima, right? The anima has to be balanced by the animus. You've seen it in ancient Asian philosophical work in yin and yang and feng shui, right? You see it in West African in when they talk about the orisha. You have male orisha and you have female orisha. You see it in the Neturu. There are masculine deities and then there are feminine deities. People don't understand. This is something that has been around historically and spiritually for a very long time. But because we get caught up in translations and all of this and that, we think, oh, by the time first off, let's just do this. The man is the head, right? Yes, in this realm, right? It is the front runner. Just like your mask. This is what Carl Jung is talking about. Your mask is the first thing people meet. That is the front runner. But if you have a woman that is in your life, right, which is internally the anima, and guess what? You start to nurture you begin to balance yourself out. Remember what I said in previous shows when I said, in order to get to mutuality in relationship, you must cultivate neutrality within yourself. You've got to heal. How do you heal, Zoe? I need to understand. How do you heal? I said, go get Dr. David R. Hawking's work, Power versus Force. Go get his book. And he broke down a whole kinesiology-based consciousness grid. At the very bottom of the consciousness grid, you have the lowest enumeration and term for that particular consciousness level. It's called shame. It has a numerical value of 20. I said, now, if you start to look at these values that Dr. David R. Hawkins broke down, as they progressively get higher, you become more and more neutral. When you're in an unhealed state, you can't regulate your emotions. You're not neutral. You're not balanced. Neutral is just another term for balanced. So look, shame, 20. Shame represents humiliation, miserable, despising, elimination. Then you rise up 10 points, 30, guilt, blame, right? Evil, vindictive, destruction, right? Keep going up. Apathy, despair, hopelessness, condemning, right? Abdication. Then you finally get to fear, anxiety, frightening, punitive, withdrawal. Then you get to desire, craving, disappointing, denying, enslavement, right? Enslavement to what? Attachment. That's what desire is, the opposite of attached. When you have it, do you see? When you don't have it, you're desiring. Do you see? That's why it can become enslavement. That is the process. Then there's anger, hate, antagonistic, vengeful, aggression. Then you finally raise up to 175, which is pride, scorn, demanding, indifferent, inflation. By the time you balance out to neutrality, that's 250. Do you see? I'm explaining this because we were talking about individuation. before I came forward. The process of individuation, Jung's term for personal development, involves integrating these desperate elements to achieve a harmonious self, right? The integration is critical for healthy psychological functioning. In other words, the shadow and the subconscious and the conscious have to be integrated, right? Now, listen to what he's about to say in this video because it's very important. Go ahead. Oh, he don't got it? You lost it? Don't tell me you lost it. Here we go. We got it. Do we?
Serves man. It must not be inferred that the relation is that of a servant to a master, as was anciently conceived. The ancient prophets called it the slave and servant of man. St. Paul personified it as a woman and said, "The woman should be subject to man in everything." The subconscious does serve man and faithfully gives form to his feelings. However, the subconscious has a distinct distaste for compulsion and responds to persuasion rather than to command. Consequently, it resembles the beloved wife more than the servant. The husband is head of the wife. Ephesians chapter 5 may not be true of man and woman in their earthly relationship, but it is true of the conscious and the subconscious, or the male and female aspects of consciousness. The mystery to which Paul referred when he wrote, "This is a great mystery. He that loveth his wife loveth himself, and they two shall be one flesh," is simply the mystery of consciousness. Consciousness is really one and undivided, but for creation's sake it appears to be divided into two. The conscious, objective, or male aspect truly is the head and dominates the subconscious, subjective, or female aspect. However, this leadership is not that of the tyrant, but of the lover. So by assuming the feeling that would be yours were you already in possession of your objective, the subconscious is moved to build the exact likeness of your assumption. Your desires are not subconsciously accepted until you assume the feeling of their reality, for only through feeling is an idea subconsciously accepted, and only through this subconscious acceptance is it ever expressed. It is easier to ascribe your feeling to events in the world than to admit that the conditions of the world reflect your feeling. However, it is eternally true that the outside mirrors the inside. As within, so without. A man can receive nothing unless it is given him from heaven, and the kingdom of heaven is within you. Nothing comes from without. All things come from within, from the subconscious. It is impossible for you to see other than the contents of your consciousness. Your world in its every detail is your consciousness objectified. Objective states bear witness of subconscious impressions. A change of impression results in a change of expression. The subconscious accepts as true that which you feel as true.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
With reported hate crimes rising in recent years, California has responded through outreach efforts across state government and in collaboration with community-based organizations for the launch of CA versus Hate. This non-emergency, multilingual hate crime and incident reporting hotline provides an anonymous reporting option for victims and witnesses of hate acts reported in 15 different languages through the online portal and in over 200 languages when calling the hotline. Report anonymously by calling 833-866-4283, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or online at any time at cavshate.org.
To the 100 million people who owe the IRS money, this message is for you. We've helped tens of thousands of people close the door on their tax debt. So if you feel like you're stuck in a hole with IRS tax debt, then this is the easiest way to get a resolution quickly. To qualify for a no-pay or low-pay resolution, visit taxclosure.org to get free from the IRS once and for all.
To keep your bank accounts, income, and assets secure, tax closure is your same-day cure.
helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
As we go a little something like this.
Hey, it is me, D.L. Hughley, and I am thrilled to be heard weekdays in my hometown on KBLA Talk 1580. So check out the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a whole lot to talk about, let me tell you. That's for the real.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
When a man idealizes a woman and projects his anima onto her, he gives her tremendous power. Why is it dangerous for women to identify with that projection? Or like Marilyn Monroe, to become the love goddess and live out his desires?
Because, as we know from the life history of Marilyn Monroe, she did not live her own life. She acted all the time the anima of men. Generally, there are women, and that is ultimately due to the power drive. When women discover that if they are beautiful, they can exert a magic power over men, then they take to acting all the time the anima. We are even in our jargon sometimes talking about anima women. Those are women who find out how to act the anima to men. And because this is not love but pure power drive, it is destructive to the men and to themselves. Because it's using the guise of love for worldly power.
Oh, brothers, I know you don't want to hear me talk about stuff like this, but do you think that if you cultivated your inner feminine, that you would have less demands and expectations on your woman in the real world? If you cultivated everything within yourself, self-approval, self-love, self-appreciation, self-acknowledgement, right? All the stuff that you sought from your mother, which may have created your mother wound. Do you think if you were to cultivate your inner feminine, your relationship with women in the real world, would it be better? When men neglect their inner feminine, they risk falling into what Carl Jung termed a one-sided personality. Now listen, ladies, I hear necks rolling and finger snapping. No. This applies to you too. Right? We just talking about men tonight. But I could easily recontextualize that statement and say when women neglect their inner masculine, they run the risk of falling into what Carl Jung termed a one-sided personality. But we see that men, like I told you before in earlier topics, men look at spirituality in a lot of ways. They don't see it as tangible as women feel it. Men see spirituality, and I'm saying a lot of men, not all men, some but all, but a lot of men see spirituality as a means to an end. If I do this, I'll get that. It's almost transactional for a lot of men. Whereas women, it's a process. But let's not forget now, I'm talking about men who avoid feeling, been taught to suppress and repress emotion to where all I got to do is do, and you'll respect and love me for all the things I do. When you haven't cultivated self-love, self-approval, self-respect, self-esteem, it's all based on production, performance. And you saw how the lady identified Marilyn Monroe's actions by saying she was in her anima. She was performing in order to get things from men. She was in her masculine. That was her hustle, was what the lady was basically saying about Marilyn Monroe. So many men are in a one-sided personality because they neglect their inner anima, the feminine aspect. This imbalance can lead to emotional repression as well as difficulty in relationships. I've experienced it. I've experienced bad relationships because I don't want to open up and talk about things. I don't want to look bad or say something that makes me lose an opportunity. I've been there before, brothers. Again, this imbalance can lead to emotional repression as well as difficulties in relationships. Jung posited that the anima is a bridge to the unconscious. It embodies emotions, intuition, and nurturing qualities. Engaging with the anima, men can access deeper emotional layers. They can enhance their ability to be empathetic, and they can develop a richer relational capacity. How many men just don't have the capacity to feel or relate or connect or stay present? Can we be honest? I'm one of those men. I've been there. I've neglected my inner anima. Jung suggested that when men confront and integrate their anima, they can develop a more nuanced understanding of themselves and their relationships. This process often requires confronting fears, biases, and societal conditioning that dictate traditional notions of masculinity. As men engage with their inner feminine, that's your real woman. Your inner feminine is your real woman. If you learn how to treat her right, brother. I know you don't want to hear it put this way. If you learn how to mac her down, if you learn, if you learn how to treat your inner feminine, I know you're going to learn how to treat women better. But you won't even accept that she's there. She's unseen and unheard. She's been neglected. Oh, I know y'all not ready for this topic. As men engage their inner feminine, they gain access to qualities such as compassion, receptivity, and emotional intelligence, attributes that enrich their relationships. Oh my goodness, we got callers on the line. People want to talk. Tonight's topic, he's in his feminine. how a man's mistreatment of his inner woman can potentially lead to his utter mismanagement. You talking about fumbling the bag. His utter mismanagement of his real world woman. Let's go, y'all. We got callers. Let's get them in here. My goodness. Who's been on the longest? Oh, wait. Nope. Hold on. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go forward, and I'm taking all of the callers at the top of the hour. We got to take this commercial interlude. When we come forward, the voice of reason is going all over the nation to have this discussion.